We're keeping you guys on your toes with that intro.
I guess so. Sorry about that.
Well, hey
Oh well.
guys, welcome to the Archon Book Weekly podcast. Mike could not make it, and we are late, but we're here. So last week we took off, so we really tried for this week to come on and do a show. And there's a lot of books to talk about. So and an interesting topic as well with Wonder Woman. There were so many books that came out this week. It was kind of crazy for Thanksgiving week. How many books came out, but we are going to start with some news first. So this is the news from last weekend, this week, and there's a good amount to talk about. So let's start talking about comic news first. And you want to talk about Dark Horse's Ghostbusters Back in Town is getting a comic. It's based on the new Ghostbusters movies.
Yeah. I don't remember why I wanted to talk about the topic, but I actually did really like that movie, the first one. Not that, I mean, obviously I haven't seen this one, but the second one. But I really enjoyed the first one. I know it gets some criticism and all that stuff, but I really liked it. So I'm kind of glad they're continuing in that universe. I don't know. There was some reason I wanted to talk about this, and I cannot remember for the life. Oh, I know why. The writer, it's David Boer, is writing this book.
Oh, nice.
So
The Rain
yeah,
and yeah, he's great.
yeah, and Specs, right?
Yes,
Um,
Specs as well.
yeah, so that's why I wanted to mention it because David's writing it, so I kind of want to check it out now. Seems like the genre that he likes to play in. So there you go.
That's true. Yeah, he does like to play with that genre. We also have a couple of people in the comments here. So we got Jolly Green, a lot of people talking about Tom King. So we'll get to the Tom King topic once we get to the comic books, but we have a lot to say about it as well. We got Parker Luck, we got Tevia in the comments, we got Black Knight. I saw Jimmy. We haven't seen Jimmy in a while in the comments, but Jimmy's here.
What's up, Jimmy?
And then we have Serenity as well. So many books. And I only read like 2. Immortal X-Men, Uncanny Spider-Man. I'm on Invincible Iron Man for tonight. So there you go.
Read all 3 of those. There you go.
Tevia says we also have Ultimate. Yeah, there you go. So we got some readership there. But Tevia says the news of the Ultimate Spider-Man trailer. I don't think the trailer was much news. It's, the same thing we kind of already know about the book. But he does say that it confirms that Aunt May's dead. You would think, because they're kind of old at this point. So I would think Aunt May is past her prime. So I don't know if there's a lot of news in that one. But yes, the trailer did come out.
I did not see that trailer.
I didn't either. So I didn't know that Aunt May was dead. But again, I don't know if that's like a big shock.
Right, yeah.
Let's get into the next thing here, which is... I think only Mike wanted to talk about this one, so I'll actually take that off. We got Super Sons returns with a twist.
Yeah.
And I need to figure out what that twist is because this is, I think, from like 2 weeks ago. Okay. Sinestro's kid is also involved.
Yeah, it's Sinestro's kid and somebody else's kid. Who's the other kid? Oh, it's Zod's kid. So Sinestro's kid and Zod's kid team up. So it's basically an evil version of Super Sons, which I thought is pretty neat. I've actually enjoyed the Simpson backstory in Green Lantern. I think it's kind of fun that he thinks he's Sinestro's kid, but nobody believes him, and so he's like in this wayward group home, living off scraps and that kind of thing, and trying to fight his way back to Korrigar and all that stuff. So I don't know. It could be interesting.
Yeah, I as you know, I'm not a huge Super Sons fan. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's going to be for me, but I'll try it out because I do like that they're doing something different. You could have just went, oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Love the collector's pins for your books, Kat. Yeah, we have pins, enamel pins, queer pins, but then also superheroes and horror pins. So that's always fun. But yeah, with Super Sons, I like that they're doing something different where I don't think every property would do that. I think you'd just be like, here's Return of Super Sons because look at the fan base it has. But this is like, no, we want to do something different, even though I think it's this Peter J. Tomasi who just is the only one who writes Super Sons at this point.
Yeah. Certainly asked what's his name? Simpson. It's this little backup story in the books lately, past couple of issues at least, I think.
Yeah, I think since I want to say, because which series is it in? It's in Green Lantern, right? So I want to say it's since the beginning.
I would assume it's in Green Lantern. Was it since the beginning? I didn't remember if it was since the beginning or like a couple issues in it, but it might have been from the beginning.
You guys could correct me if I'm wrong, though. I might be because
Yeah.
my memory is not
I
the
mean, you may be
greatest.
right. I don't know.
Someone's right for sure,
Yeah.
unless it's somehow there's a twist that we don't know about. But let's get into the next thing here, which is a new weekly story. The Joker Year One is coming to Batman, and we actually last week one of the potential topics was going to be, are you done with weekly series events? Because I've never read a weekly event that was good
Really?
ever.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, you could do
I
the 52, right? Like that was
yeah.
from 15 years ago, but even that, I don't think it's like the best.
I really enjoyed 52. I
Okay.
was like, yeah, that was like destination comic for me. I love the story. Now there obviously with a weekly comic, you're gonna have handfuls of issues that aren't great. And I don't I think that's the only one that came close to being like really, really good. Like we've done Batman Eternal and whatever the other one was around that same time. Those weren't those are just okay. But yeah, it's it's hard because you gotta keep people engaged every single week. It's like serial television, and we've talked about that many times with like Smallville, going back to that the freak of the week kind of stuff, and it gets procedural and kind of stale at points. And but hopefully the payoffs. That's the hope that the payoffs and eventually are worth the lagging issues or episodes or whatever.
Sorry, I'm late. Is the consensus he's good or bad for Wonder Woman? CB's Bill said we haven't talked about it yet, so you're good. We're gonna talk about it with
Yep.
the comics. Um, yeah, with I remember like what was other event comics besides Batman Eternal? There was that
Futures in.
Future's End. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm glad we both thought about it at the same time. That one was
Yeah.
really not great. And Batman
Right.
Eternal, like you were kind of alluding to too, it was just fine. There were some issues that were good. I know Stephanie Brown came back with Batman Eternal, so that was cool. But there hasn't been one that has really stuck for me just because it's the quantity over quality thing. And I
Yeah.
just don't know if it hits. And also, DC's really the only one who does it.
Right. And I think with 52 for me it was the mystery because it was
Mhm.
all embroiled in mystery throughout the whole thing. And that kind of kept me engaged. Whereas all the rest, it's a completely different vibe, and this one is going to be no different. It's I mean, maybe there's a little bit of mystery because it's Joker, but other than that, I don't know. It's hard. I'd love to love a weekly book, but man, plus money.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah.
definitely a big determinant as well. That's good. That's gonna be a
Right.
tough one. There's just some books that I was reading some of the DC books today because I had plans tomorrow, so I was like trying to read my comics quicker. So I was like, oh, let me read some of the DC books today. And there's some of them where I'm like, man, this is not bad, but this is not great. And I'm like, should I continue to pick it up? And I won't spoil my thoughts about like Titans or something like that. But the only reason I say it for Titans is because like, oh, Beast World is coming. So it's like, oh, do I want to invest in this a big event? Or is this the time to drop it? And that's the same thing for like a weekly event. It's like, oh, do I want to invest in something like that?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's tough. And also it's been hard because I don't think Batman has been very strong lately. I've honestly, for me personally, I don't think Batman's been strong since the first arc of Chip Zdarsky's run. I don't think it
Yeah.
ever kind of got up there. Like once he left and went to that other universe, it really has been
Oh
dragging
yeah.
for me.
Yeah, same. And I mean it's so disappointing because we know how good of a writer Chip Zdarsky is. And I was excited to see him on Batman. But yeah, I agree. Taking him to that other world kind of just killed momentum for me.
So next up, we have the Free Comic Book Day books. We have a few announcements for Free Comic Book Day. So I was just crazy that we're in November and they're like, here's the May
Right.
offerings for Free Comic Book Day. But we have Spider-Man and the Ultimate Universe issue 1 is going to be a book. And then you got Blood Hunt and X-Men issue 1 as the other. So let's start. Oh, also Marvel Voices is another one. Which I think they tend to do. Oh man, they have even more. They have Star Wars as well, which I think was another one I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about. They have the Kitty one, Spidey and His Amazing Friends. And I think that's the end. So Marvel's actually releasing a lot of books. Let's
Yeah.
talk about Marvel first, because I think this is the first year they've ever released a Star Wars book. So that's huge. And I actually think that could bring people into the comic book store and be like, I really love Star Wars and I get it for free. That's really big. And I think that is what Free Comic Book Day is about. And it's so hard because we've been saying this for a while, but they cater to the fans so much. We don't need it. We buy the books already. You don't need to sell it on us because we are already there. You want to sell it to people to get people in the comic book stores, because that was literally the whole point of Free Comic Book Day. And now that doesn't happen anymore. So, with the actual titles they're giving, I'm excited for the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff because, I'm a fan of Spider-Man, and they always do a Spider-Man book. But the Blood Hunt stuff, it's just year after year, they give you the event that people are gonna be excited about, and then it's always a letdown.
Yeah, with Star Wars, it's also cool because for fans, Charles Soule and Greg Pak are writing this. So I mean, if you're a fan of their writing, that's a reason to pick that up. But I agree. The whole point of Free Comic Book Day is to bring new people in, and get people interested in comics. That's kind of the goal of it, I think. So yeah, it's cool to see stuff like that. But I'm always down for a good Spider-Man story too, and we're getting the Ultimate Universe stuff, so that's cool. Blood Hunt, I agree with you. It's it's another
especially
event.
that Blade's not really happening. Maybe it's having some issues.
Yeah, but it's cool they're doing the Marvel voices as well, though. So
that's important really for sure, because the whole point of Marvel voices is to hit different groups of people. So it's cool that they're doing something like that. And maybe those groups of people will come in and be like, oh, that's a cool comic. So
and then they also have the Disney Junior, the Spidey and His Amazing Friends comic. So that's cool for the kids too. So get them into Spider-Man early, because that was me at 3 years old. I was a Spider-Man fan.
Hey, I agree. One of my, I guess he is my cousin, but he's like my cousin's cousin. I don't know what you call that, but he's a big Spider-Man fan. And I was talking to my mom because she's like, oh, what do you think? I should get him Spider-Man now before he gets out of it. It's like, no, the point is to make him keep staying a Spider-Man fan. He's like, oh, he'll eventually get out of it. It's like, but as a kid, I was a Spider-Man fan, never got out of it. She's like, you're different.
I mean, kids, people are different. Some people stick with something, some people move on. But you can look at it the same way. Some kids are really into sports when they're young. They don't stop liking sports. They typically keep liking sports.
Or video games is a great example. Those kids who love video games still tend to really love video games. So
I started watching wrestling at 6. I never stopped. So, you just never know.
You really don't. Let's get into the Boom Studios Free Comic Book Day books. The reason I thought this was interesting, because Boom usually tends to do the Power Rangers stuff or something that's usually about a franchise. This time around, they're doing James Tynion's books, and then also the Boombox has a 10th anniversary. And I think this is such a smart move, because obviously Tynion has a lot of books, so it's cool that you're kind of selling our creator. Who knew we were being this pioneer of comics that the creator would sell a book, the name of a creator? And then the Boombox stuff, I always thought was really cool imprint, because it's, again, trying to get people into different types of people into comics. It's more what you would find on Webtoon, but in comics.
Yeah, it's more slice of life stuff, sports comics, adventure comics, stuff like that, which is really cool, because it does, it is definitely marketed towards a wide variety of audiences, which is really cool, and they do some really cool stuff with Moonbox. But James Tynion, man, it is a weird time in comics. I mean, creators doing their own thing outside of the big two. We've talked about Kickstarter, Webtoon, all that stuff. It's just an exciting time to be a comic fan, I think. And I really do hope that more people just kind of wander into Free Comic Days. I'm just going to go get some free books and find something they love and become a fan. That's my hope.
Same for sure. That's all I care about is people reading comics. Miguel Pools says no Mike tonight. Not tonight, but Mike actually did give his whole top 5. We have his top 3 most anticipated. We have his thoughts on the main topic. So it's almost like he's here. The only part you don't have is the news. But he is actually gave a lot of info. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Without us axing neither. Mike was just like, you know what? I want everyone to know. He's just not feeling well. So that's why he couldn't make it. But he's like, I read all my comics. I feel bad that I don't feel well because I actually, I was all up to date. So
yeah, it's like 40 something degrees in Florida today. And it's like, he was out teaching tennis all day and it just got to him, it happens. So,
yeah. So we'll miss Mike, but we'll see him next week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So let's start talking about the media news here. I want to talk about Harley Quinn being renewed because anytime it's renewed, I'm just pleasantly surprised. Just like HBO Max, who knows if they're going to renew whatever they're going to, but it's a show that keeps on giving, and I'll spoil what happens in the end of the last season. So if you guys haven't watched it, just plug your ears, but maybe this will get Brant to watch it. But Gotham City Sirens is happening.
Oh.
So that was the end of the season, is that they're like, we're going to form the Gotham City Sirens. And it's just if you're a Batman fan, watch this show. Look, the beginning's a little raunchy. It's a little bit more about the violence and cursing. But honestly, like 4 or 5 episodes in, it becomes more about Batman's mythos. And it's the best Harley Quinn story I've ever read, because I don't even think the comics have topped what this show has been doing. So go check it out. Nice. It's great. I love it. And go binge it because it's an easy binge.
Honestly, the very first time I watched it, like I tried the first episode, and that was a few years ago, right?
Yeah, and the first episode was not really great.
Yeah, and I was a different person in a different place then, and I don't know, maybe I'll enjoy it if I try it again. So
I really think you will. I truly believe you'll enjoy it because it's such a character-driven show. It's written by people that you can tell just love Batman and love the DC universe. It's almost feels like Young Justice for a mature audience that only focuses on Batman, which I really appreciate. So I very much enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll give it another shot at some point.
I hope you do. Maybe during the holidays. Where's Young Justice season 5? I hope it doesn't come, guys. I can't anymore. I just gotta stop watching. I just can't. I just haven't liked it in a while.
I didn't even finish. What was the what are the arcs? What's when it first came back? What was that one called?
I forget what Outsiders maybe. But that might have been the more recent one.
Whatever the one that the first one that came back.
I think it was Outsiders.
3. I never finished that. So it
only gets worse in my opinion. The only great thing about like Outsiders, the first season, was Artemis. Like I think Artemis continuously is always a great character, and even in the later seasons, she just doesn't show up very often. So you're like, oh, at least Artemis is here. But I just personally felt like the show kept getting worse and worse. But
like Serenity, I love the first season. The first season is like near perfect for me.
Sure, same.
Yeah, it did steadily just kind of degrade, and I don't know. It's disappointing because we wanted this back so much, and then it didn't excite us as much.
It got very much into itself, and I don't know again which parts you didn't finish, but it got very about like, let's talk about this history lesson and make it 5 episodes. And I'm like, I don't need a history lesson. I just want to see the characters interacting with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go on to the next thing here. We have a lot of Superman Legacy news. So Nicholas Hoult is going to be playing Lex Luthor. And then we got the guy from Booksmart. Let me see his name. Skylar Gisondo. He's going to be playing Jimmy. And honestly, the casting's like near perfect for Jimmy. Nicholas Hoult, I'd be interested to see. I mean, I know the actor, and I'm sure he'll be great in it, but it's not something I was like, Nicholas Hoult has to be Lex Luthor.
I mean, we've seen him be super smart as the Beast, so we can see him be smart, right? Ruthless is the thing that I'm curious to see him play, because that's ruthless and devious is Lex Luthor. So, but I agree with you. Skylar for Jimmy is like perfect. I mean, you couldn't get better casting than that. And he's funny. He's like a funny actor. Yeah, I saw. I forget what the show was called. There was a like a 8 episode series on Peacock that I watched him in, and he's just got this kind of quirky humor, and it's almost like unintentional humor, but it's obviously intentional, but it's fun. So yeah, I'm low key excited about this. So about a DC superhero movie. Go figure.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, we got a couple more stuff here. So we have some more Marvel news. We got Pedro Pascal is going to reportedly be playing Reed Richards. I don't, it's like confirmed, but not confirmed. Let's see. I don't know if I have a major opinion on it, but
I mean, I'm just disappointed it's not, oh, what's his name? I lost his name.
I know you're talking about the one who was who made the cameos for.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, from The Office. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm disappointed it's not him. So it's nothing against Pedro. I just really wanted him to be Reed again. So
Yeah, I think that would have been a good casting, but you never know. The multiverses could play a big part, so it doesn't mean he won't show up. They very heavily hinted that the multiverses are going to play a big part.
Yeah, he'll be the maker. No.
Right? Honestly, you never know, honestly. Reading Serenity's comment. I hate people are saying Legacy has too many characters with 10 people's cast. Based on the casting, only 3 people would be working on in the planet. Yeah, you also don't know how many lines these people have. They could just be like Jimmy's just appearing for 5 minutes on screen. Also, they're the main characters of Superman. He needs an ensemble. Like, what's a Superman story without Jimmy and Lex Luthor? Like, it's not like they're what's his I hate this. You guys like him, Bilbo. What's his name? From Superman.
Martin,
the guy from
Martin.
You know
Freeman?
what I'm talking about?
Is that who you're talking about?
No. The guy from
Bibbo. The newsstand guy or restaurant guy or whatever.
It's not like they're casting him.
Yeah.
They're casting Jimmy Olsen and Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Bibbo, I like that he's a super fan, but I don't like the character's stories when he appears.
No, he usually always has stories that are only about him, and I'm like, dude, I'm good. And he's always too funny, and I never really like those stories.
Yeah, I thought you were
Everyone knows
Bilbo
Bibbo
Baggins.
in the comments. No, not him, but maybe him too. They're not.
I was like, is Martin Freeman in this movie?
No. I at least try to relate it to Superman. All right, next up, this is again kind of a reveal, maybe not totally confirmed. I don't love not doing totally confirmed stuff, but it's pretty much confirmed because the Hollywood Reporters and actual reputable sources are saying it. The Walking Dead star Steven Yeun is going to play Sentry. Yeah, great actor. Cool.
Great actor. You know? Interesting casting.
Yeah, interesting hero.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised to see the Sentry in that form. Not a character I expected, and definitely not a character I expected Steven Yeun to play. So I'm curious to see what he does with the character and what kind of story they're going to tell with the character, because like the original premise behind Sentry was really interesting, that the whole universe forgot him and that he's his own villain. I think they just kind of banked on that a little bit too much and started putting him in everything, which is what they always do with every character that gets popular. But it's still an interesting story. So I'm kind of curious to see, what they're doing.
They have that new series coming out too, which is more based on different people being Sentry. So maybe that's more the line they're going to take. I'm not sure.
It could be, yeah.
ICT
or he could just be Bob. Yeah.
You never know, right? But ICT Vinny pretty much agrees with you and says, it's a weird casting. And also that name changes, and Tevye, so a lot of people.
Yeah, but he's done a lot of different types of characters, so,
He's very versatile.
Yeah.
It's been a rumor for a while. We knew for sure he was cast in the Thunderbolts, but not who he was playing. Yeah, I think Kirkman supposedly spilled the beans on that. That's what the article said. So last but not least, we're going to talk about the big news, Madame Webb's trailer. Because you know what? I've been talking to Storm about this movie. Sometimes you just want to see a bad movie. Sometimes you just want to have fun. And damn, this looks like my Venom. It looks like Final Destination. Like, why is Maddie Franklin in this? Like, who knows who she is, right? We know who she is, but No one knows who Maddie Franklin is. No one knows who any of these characters are. But this looks like such bad fun, and I'm here for the ride. Like I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this movie.
See, I don't even think it looks like bad fun. I just think it looks like fun.
You think? I think the trailer it looked very Final Destination.
Yeah, but I love Final Destination, so I mean.
But is Final Destination a good movie? Because
No.
for me, yeah. But it's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie, but it's a fun movie. I mean, they did like a bazillion of them. I don't know. It seemed like fun to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm invested in this. I'm gonna enjoy this. I'm gonna have fun with this, and I don't get all the hate. It's like not everything has to be like the best movie in the world. Sometimes you just need something fun, and this looked like fun to me.
So. I agree. I think is Venom a good movie? No, it's not a good movie at all.
Not really.
But what's the definition of a good movie? I'm just saying, is it well crafted?
Exactly.
No, it's not a well-written script, but is it fun? Yeah, and in that regard, it's a good movie because you're having a fun time in the theater, and that's what I want Madame Webb to be, just fun.
That's the thing, like is Scary Movie a good franchise? No. Is it stupid? Yes, but
is it a
great
lot of franchise? People love it?
Yes. Exactly. That's my point. It's like Venom, the storytelling, there's a lot of holes, but is it fun from start to finish? And do you get engaged with the characters because how compelling they are on screen? Yeah, I do. So I'm hoping for the same with this one.
It's characters that no one knows. There's no real baggage. I mean, is it weird that we're not getting the old lady who's blind? No, yeah, but maybe that's the twist of the end of the movie. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. Tevye's like, oh, it just looks like garbage and stupid. But even stupid garbage movies, yeah, and that too, exactly. But even stupid garbage movies could be good. There's a line. There's a line of kitschiness that just works, and I love a good kitschy movie. It's like horror movies. Is Halloween? Well, that's a hard one because Halloween is a good movie, but also a bad movie all at the same time. It's a good movie because it's like invented the genre. The cinematography is really interesting. But if you listen to the script, like if you listen to the dialogue, it's a bad movie. So
I mean, you could look at Resident Evil too. Like people hate on those movies so much, but I love that franchise.
Me too.
I have so much fun with it. It's just if you enjoy it, and if enough people enjoy it, then who gets to say it's a bad movie, right? It may be a bad movie for you, but we'll see how it does. Maybe we're completely wrong and it's trash, but we don't know that until we see it.
We will be seeing it though. Serenity says, I respectfully disagree. I like the first two Final Destination films. They're good to me. It's fun, good actors. I think we're all on the same page. We're saying we love Final Destination.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't hate I love Final Destination.
Me too.
But especially when you get into the later movies, some of the clues and stuff are a little convenient and stuff like that. They kind of dumb it down as it goes on. So it is what it is.
Serenity also has a very interesting comment. Recast Madame Webb. Get rid of Dakota Johnson. Cast Felicia Rashad. I'm like, from the Cosby Show?
That's an interesting casting. I mean,
I'd watch it.
I love Felicia Rashad, but that's not what I expected, but okay.
I mean, sure, why not? It's gonna be an interesting watch. But that's all the news. So we're gonna get into some books, but we do have some Kickstarters. Brant, you have a Kickstarter for like an hour, so
yeah. In the final moments, yeah. Let me pull. I forgot to even open the stupid tab, but yeah. Let me share a screen there real quick. Won't spend a whole lot of time on it. 54 minutes to go. We are funded, a lot of stretch goals unlocked. But if you are interested in a mature fantasy, epic saga, if you like Game of Thrones, that kind of thing, if you like Poison Ivy, because there's some interesting abilities. Let me scroll down to Silver here because she actually has some cool abilities that go into effect. You can't really see them because we're kind of hiding it, but there's all vines shooting out, and there's for our fellow Spider-Man fans, you might want to pay attention to this one because there's some of that in there too. But Bloom Pretty. Live for another hour. Go back it, please. Okay. If you enjoy comics, if you enjoy supporting Kickstarter, go back.
Go support it.
That's
I
my
also have
pitch.
I like the
Terrible
pitch. It wasn't your best, but I felt the
No,
passion.
I was trying to rush and I just lost the whole thing. But go ahead.
I think you nailed it by the end.
All
But yeah,
right.
I also have a Kickstarter going on. We only have 2 days left, so Thursday's last day where you can support it. You like anime? Go check it out. It's a love letter to Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Power Rangers, Dragon Ball Z, and a lot of other animes as well. It's new reader friendly. It's based on the slice of life characters from Webtoon, and yeah, go check it out. It's a fun one shot. If you like fun comics, you like Madame Webb, go check it out. But that's it for our Kickstarters here. So let's get into the big books. Like we mentioned, there's a lot of different comics that came out. It was actually a really big haul this week,
Yeah,
even for me.
I did not just to let you know, I did not get to read She-Hulk.
She-Hulk was actually good this week.
Yeah, I did not get Kill Your Darlings because I thought
They have
it
a
was
miss.
late for 2 weeks. Yeah,
So it was,
okay.
but there were certain.
Yeah.
My store is usually really good at the misprints, but they still gave it to me. So I was like, okay. And it looks like Mike was the same thing. So they must have not given the word correctly for that.
Yeah, and I was behind on Power Rangers, so I didn't get to that one either. So just letting you know. So I won't get to talk about those books.
Yeah. That's okay. Power Rangers, not much happened. She-Hulk, I'm sure we'll talk about. And what was the other one? She-Hulk and Power Rangers and
Kill Your Darlings.
Kill Your Darlings, and I'm sure we'll talk about that too. But I was trying not to spoil it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to read that one too. It probably would have been my number one, but who knows?
I do want to mention name changes. I would back y'all, but Solar, I've been burnt by Indiegogo. Kickstarter might be another company, but no shipping for one book looks like $20. I'm sorry to hear they're burnt you. I will say that both me and Brent have done many campaigns and have shipped every single one of them. We ship
thousands of books. Yeah,
thousands and thousands of books. Lifeline Comics does a campaign a month. And there's times where we ship the book literally that month. There's this current book, let me tell you, to give you positivity, the print order is already in for this book, which means we are getting these comics in December, which means we'll be shipping these comics in January. So you will be getting this book in a month's time. So it's not even just done. It's being printed and shipped off to us by the end of the month. So you'll be guaranteed to get your comic. And if not, if you feel like you don't even want to do the shipping, get it digitally. Those will get shipped out even earlier. We're doing the shipping for digital books in like less than a month. So go check it out. If that's something you're looking forward to, this is a great way to get into Kickstarter and Indiegogo, because there's some great books out there that won't burn you.
Yeah, ours won't be done that soon, but we do deliver. We actually just fulfilled the last issue of Bloom Pretty right before this campaign launched. So this is like my, 19th, 20th campaign, something like that. So yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
We've definitely been doing it a while. So hopefully that helps the name changes. I hope that, maybe these type of books could help change your mind. And for the Chibi book, for the digital book, it's only $5 digitally. So it's not even an expensive book. All right, let's get into some books.
Let's do it. All right. So we're going to talk about Batman Off-World #1 first. I'm glad you read this because I'm really curious if you liked it and if you're going to read issue 2, which I don't think you are, just by the look on your face.
It's interesting because Mike did like this book, and I was like, damn. Yeah. We're going to have different opinions.
Yeah, I liked it too. I didn't love it. I thought it was really interesting that they're telling this story of his first, travels into space. And I thought the reason for his travels into space made sense. It was very Batman-like. But it was also very year one kind of stuff. So if you're not into that, you definitely won't like it. But I'm curious to hear why specifically you didn't like it.
Didn't hate it. Honestly, it's just more of a vibe thing for me. It's just more of a genre thing. I do not like sci-fi stories. And when I was reading it, I was just like, oh, if you like sci-fi stories, you'll love this book. It actually is doing something different for Batman. There's a new character that's introduced. I don't know how seamless she'll be as the story goes on. But, I think if you like Jason Aaron's storytelling too, you'll probably enjoy it. I I feel like if I wasn't reading as many books and maybe I'd just gotten into comic books, I think this would have been on my pull list and be like, let's see
Yeah.
where it goes. But because we read so many books, I'm like, it was fine, but it's not something I personally need to read issue 2 for. But I was surprised how much Mike liked it. I again, it's not even a bad book. I just didn't know. I feel like it's a mid-tier book it's like a middle of the road for me.
Yeah, same for me. It's not like in my top 5 or anything like that. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I agree with you though. If I wasn't reading so many books and if I was newer to comics and that kind of stuff, it would be more of an appeal. I don't know, it's going to depend on the week whether I get issue 2 or not, but I did enjoy the story for what it was. And I like the new character, the Timuranian that's, from the same place as Starfire. I liked her character a lot. I like these, almost indestructible aliens that he's having to learn how to fight. So a lot to love there. But if you're not a sci-fi fan, this is not for you at all.
Yeah, it won't make you. It's not like Saga where it kind of makes you a sci-fi fan. Like, it's not reinventing the genre. It is the genre. And I will say the art's really solid for the book too.
Mm-hmm.
And I will also give something a really big positive is that Batman has so many miniseries out, so many like kind of Elseworld stories that all feel the same. They're going to Arkham. He's in the past. His parents are there. They're all the same. All the alternate universe stuff. And this is not an alternate universe. It's just kind of like its own thing. And I like that. It was different. I like that. I was like, I can't really relate this to another Batman story.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree completely. And that's kind of why I even picked it up in the first place. So
yeah.
All right. So next we're going to talk about a book that you do not read, which is Void Rivals number 6.
Speaking of sci-fi.
Yeah. So this was the end of the first arc, and now it's taking a break, I think, till March. I didn't love this issue as much as the rest of the series. I thought this was probably, it kind of went out on a quiet note, but at the same time, it still left us with some stuff to ponder because the two of them, like, she betrayed him and he ended up in prison, but there was like this secret cabal of rebels on that planet that kind of broke him out, and he was like, I'm not leaving without her, because she got put in jail too. So he breaks her out. They're trying to make their escape, and we learned that the whole reason, or we're kind of teased, we don't learn like the details, but we're teased with the whole reason that their planet's separated in the first place, and why they're keeping the secret is to keep some entity at bay or something. And now, like, they're afraid that they're going to have to stop them at all cost, or it's going to cause all this, calamity. So really interesting way to leave it off. Obviously a little bit of a cliffhanger, but I still love this series, and I love how tied it is to Transformers. So, we'll see how things go forward in March. All right, so let's talk about Amazing Spider-Man number 38. Finally, are we done with Rec Rap now?
We're finally done.
Yeah.
Well, it's so interesting. I read this issue, and you know what? We've been talking about Gang War. We're excited. Maybe it's going to be something new and different. And the more and more I read, the more and more I'm less excited for Gang War.
Yeah. And then John Romita Jr. is coming back too.
Yeah, a lot of things to be excited about. No, I just, was this as bad as last issue? No, because at least there wasn't that middle interlude. Like that, again, that was just one of the weirdest thing I've ever read in a comic book was that interlude. I've never seen that in a comic, and we've been reading comics for a very long time, and I've never seen that before, and not in a creative way. It just felt weird. In this, I couldn't even tell you what Rec Rap was doing. It's a blur. I don't care. I don't even care about the Gang War. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Exactly. I wish Rec Rap had his own comic for the people who enjoyed it. The art was good, but I don't know. It's just not as good as that one arc we all really loved.
Yeah. I will say two good things about this issue. One, and both of them are callbacks. So one, the agent that was trying to get Peter to pay his debts way back was this I forget what his name is, this demon that's eating all the other demons. So I thought that was a decent callback, at least continuity wise. And then we finally got back to Tombstone's daughter and Randy. So It's like, okay, finally we're picking up that thread, that does kind of kick off this whole Gang War stuff. So I mean, that is kind of important. But yeah, so I it was better than last issue. I can say that.
It definitely was. And not to hate on Spider-Man, because again, we
No.
really loved
Love
the
Spider-Man.
last arc, and I think that's what's been disappointing. And the art is so good for this book. It's so great. And I just think it's a shame. It just feels very messy right now. So we'll see.
I really hope Gang War is good. Am I enthusiastic about it? No. I'm trying to meter my expectations though, because of how we felt about it so far.
I also just don't know what it could even be to get us excited. Like, I mean, I hope there's a big twist, but the things that they've kind of been dropping, it's just a lot of old Spider-Man characters teaming up, and that's kind of it, Yeah. And obviously Tombstone being a bigger deal because of the wedding.
Right.
But it really feels like an underwhelming mob story, and that's a shame because there's some really great gang stories in Marvel in general, but like Spider-Man in particular. I think a lot of people forget he's a street level hero with a lot of like kind of mobster street level villains, so this should be a great arc, so we'll see.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into our number 5s, and then after that we'll be into our main topic. So so my number 5, I'm going to start because we just talked about it, was Void Rivals. So what was yours?
Mine was Wonder Woman. So we're going to talk about it.
Well, there you go. That was our next book to talk about anyway. So there we go.
And we also, I think Mike has, also had Wonder Woman as number 5. No, he didn't. He has comments about Wonder Woman outside. Okay, so this was his Wonder Woman comments. So Wonder Woman is a beautiful looking book, and love how badass and confident she is in the run so far. When you look at the grand scheme of things, not much story progression, but you do get some. Not sure if having a soldier kill himself by the manipulation of the lasso of lies is the way to go. I'll stay on the book for now. So it looks like he's in the middle for it.
Fair. Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, go ahead. It was your number 5, so talk about it.
That's true. It was my number 5. I don't like Wonder Woman as a character as often. I love what she stands for. I love the idea of Wonder Woman, but there's not been one run that has got me into Wonder Woman. But I really like this run because I feel like it feels so different than anything we've ever gotten from Wonder Woman, and actually fits Tom King's storytelling. And it's really interesting because I saw a lot of comments earlier where they're talking about, I'll never pick up anything from Tom King. I don't like Tom King. I normally, especially since the event, what was that event called? Heroes in Crisis.
Oh, Heroes in Crisis, yeah.
Heroes in Crisis. I was off that Tom King bandwagon for over 5 years. Everything I read, I was like, man, besides Mr. Miracle and some of his Batman, I'm not into Tom King. Everything I read, I just didn't like it. Adam Strange. But I was like, Wonder Woman, let me give this a try. I'm always trying to give Wonder Woman a try. And I just think his voice really fits here. The political aspect is something I'm surprised that comics has never really delved into in the way this has. I really like how they're building Trinity as a character. She feels like more than a spec. She feels like there's actual weight behind her. It feels like there's a story, because it doesn't seem like it's actually Wonder Woman's blood daughter. It's someone else's. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And they're just building her really in a cool way. Then the Lasso of Lies, I'm like, that's a cool twist. That's something we don't have in the mythos of Wonder Woman. I like that this book's different, and that's something we've been saying is like, I hate seeing the same stories over and over again, but also don't take away what the character's all about. And you can tell how much Tom King loves Wonder Woman. Every issue is a love letter to her, saying like, look how strong she is, look how great she is. And the art is really good. I've been pleasantly surprised by this. So if you are on the edge or on the fence about Wonder Woman just because you don't like Tom King, I say give it a shot, because again, I normally am not into Tom King's writing.
Yeah, it's hard because there's certain stories, like you mentioned Mr. Miracle, which I still need to read, but Vision stands out to me. Like, that's like Tom King at his finest, and I feel like this is Tom King getting back to what Tom King does best in this book, which is take characters and do something completely different with them, and tell this rich, layered story with them, and make you fall in love with these characters all over again. And that's what he's doing with Wonder Woman for me. I feel like it's been a buildup, and this issue was like the issue for me at least. That was like, oh, I really like this version of Wonder Woman. And it's just, I mean, the pacing about it, the art was absolutely gorgeous as well, but just her calm stride into this place and just like not bothered by anything, just completely confident. And even when she's at gunpoint, has an army coming at her back and all this stuff, and she's just standing there like, yeah, but I got an invisible jet.
Right? That was such a
It's
good
like,
scene.
oh man, that was so beautiful. Yeah. Go
And the
ahead.
pacing, I was going to say the pacing
Yeah.
of this book, like Tom King, he always has really great art collaborators. Even the book's not great, the art's always good. And you could
Right.
tell he talks to his artists really well. And no matter the artist, like again, that the pacing of getting to the jet works really well. The action sequences, it's just, you feel like you're in a movie, an espionage movie. And it's interesting because Mike said, oh, I don't feel like this story is progressing a lot, but I honestly think we're only 3 issues in and we've gotten a ton in 3 issues.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's been a lot of progression in this, and I mean, you start off with the attack in the bar, which was a little bit slow, you know, with all the news reports and all that stuff. We had talked about that, but then you go to the face off with Wonder Woman, and now you're to her confronting, you know, Sergeant Steele, and in the background you've got this King. There's a lot of advancement there. Yes, it's Talking Heads advancement more than not, but there is still progression there. So yeah, I would disagree with that as well. Man, I was going to say something. I completely lost it. But oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to point out the lettering in this book too, because like when she throws her tiara and she's just standing in the elevator, and you got all these sound effects going on, and it could come off really cheesy, but I appreciate, and especially because they're like bold and bombastic kind of sound effects, but the coloring on them kind of made them a little bit more muted, so it just kind of fit. It fit, even though you're telling a super serious story with a very calm Wonder Woman, and you got these exaggerated sound effects. It just all flowed together. So this book is just really beautifully done, I think. So
I very much agree. Tevye asks about the backup story with Wonder Woman's daughter. Yeah, that was cute too. Again, very Super Sons, so I'm sure he enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oh, I did too. Yeah, it was fun. I like that she kept just saying curse words.
Yeah,
because she was listening to Damien. It was funny.
So I think that oh, we didn't do Mike's number 5, so let me get that.
That's true. Yeah, let's do that.
So let me see. Number 5, I think, was one I disagreed with. So let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. His number 5 was Holy Roller. He said,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you read this one?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
I did.
So
I did.
He says, there's an interesting book by Andy Samberg and Rick Remender. Love the flashback to the 80s and really feel bad for this kid who was hated on because he's Jewish. Curious to see the development of his character, the town he lives in, and his dad who is dying of cancer. So, Brant, what are your thoughts on it?
I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped I would, because it just sounded fun. I mean, it's Rick Remender, and you got Andy Samberg involved with it as well, which is kind of cool. They obviously modeled his dad's character after Judd Hirsch. He looked just like him, so that was fun. You know, it kind of had his personality a little bit too. So, and it was kind of hard to watch, obviously, or hard to read because of the hate and all that stuff, but very current, right? So,
sure,
a lot of that going on, but I don't know, it just didn't quite sell me as much as I had hoped it would. I was hoping for the over the top, you know, this dude just going all out with these bowling balls, more like the Mark Miller stuff is kind of what I was hoping for. I don't think it quite got there for me, but I still enjoyed it.
That's where I was at, because this book was not bad by any means. Like, the art's good, like there's a personality because of this bowling ball thing, but it was not a good issue 1. It didn't sell me on the book. If I didn't know the premise that this guy's going to become a vigilante, they don't tell you in this issue. They're like, oh, cool, he has a bowling ball now.
That's true.
I think it so much works as a graphic novel, or like read it in trade, because I don't think this was a great issue 1. And I don't know if it gave me enough for issue 2, if I'm being honest. It just was really slow for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. That like by the end of this issue, had he donned some kind of makeshift suit and gone out there, that would have been like, okay, But you're right. It just ended like with him hitting somebody with a bowling ball. It's like, okay, what? And also he's not super likable. This guy, when he was a kid, you kind of felt for him, but as an adult, it's like this guy's kind of a jerk. So.
And maybe that's the point. And we saw, I mean, I'm pretty sure Rick Remender did Scumbag. And a big issue I had with Scumbag is that it started out really strong, but it kind of was the same thing over and over again. And when you don't have the most likable character, it's a little harder to read. Like Local Man, I think is actually a good example of a book that hasn't moved in a while. But I like the main character a lot. Like he's likable. So it's like, all right, I'm here to kind of see where he's going.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even with anti-heroes, you have to have some kind of connection and likability about them. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So we talked about Wonder Woman. We talked about our topic and all that good stuff. So let's talk about Carnage. You did not read this. I read this very fast right before the show. It was decent. I thought the way Cletus Cassidy. I lost his name for a second.
That's
came
where
back.
You're at right now.
Yeah.
So you forgot Carnage's name.
I thought it made sense. His whole reasoning for coming back and being a god and, worshiping at the Church of Violence basically is just like, it's a little bit it's the same stuff we've been reading with Carnage for years now. So I wasn't totally into that. I don't know that this gave me enough to be like, oh, Carnage, he's back and I'm excited. It was another Carnage book for me, unfortunately. So I know Mike felt differently. We'll get there. But yeah, I didn't love it. So it was Carnage. But I thought the art was solid. So
no Carnage for me.
All right, so let's talk about, we just talked about Holy Roller, so let's get into our number 4s. So what was your number 4?
Mine was Superman, issue 8. This continues to be a really solid book. I like this issue because, it's a little bit more actiony, but we get a lot more of the villain. I like the relationship between Lex and Superman. I enjoy that this series makes it very complicated because Lex is not just a mustache twirler. He's not a good person, but you could kind of sympathize for him in this version of Lex, and we'll see if that hurts Superman or not. Well, if we see in the end, it kind of does. Superman's got kryptonite in him, but yeah, it's a really solid issue. I love this book. It's one of my favorites, and Williamson does no wrong.
Yeah, I love this book too. I love that Lex finally has redemption qualities, and you can obviously tell that he's regretting choices that he's made in his life, and that scene where his daughter is like, nope, I don't want anything to do with you, and you could see the hurt in his eyes, and I love that. They're humanizing Lex Luthor, who doesn't have a whole lot of human qualities except for hate and jealousy. So it's good to see this side of him that we don't get to see very often. But I like that we got to learn a little bit more about the villain here and the motivations. And there was like a little tease that Lex had something to do with Marilyn Moon Knight as well in this issue. So building on that thread as well. Just, this is the best Superman run in a while. So.
Yeah, I don't remember last time I've enjoyed Superman this much.
Yeah. And speaking of Superman, that was our next book to talk about. So we had just talked about that one. Daredevil Black Armor. You did not read this one either.
Oh, did you do your number 4?
Did I? Oh, I didn't do my number 4. No. You're right. My bad. Uncanny Spider-Man. Number 4. It is my number 4. I like this book. I don't think this was quite the strongest issue. It's
one of the weaker ones for sure. Yeah. But it's still a good, solid series.
Yeah, still a solid series. You have Spider-Man and Kurt talking about one-liners, which is fun. You've got this still devil on his shoulder kind of thing that we still don't know what it is. A little bit more mystique here. So it's more of the same, but, Silver Sable gets to the point where we knew she was going to get where she has to betray him, which is kind of how we end this one. And it's unfortunate, but it makes sense. And I like their relationship, though. And I'm curious to see if they do anything with that beyond this. Because it's an interesting.
I think if you get the same creator, you will probably. He's been on Nightcrawler for like a long time.
Yeah. So, but I enjoyed this issue. And this is a fun series. If you're not reading Uncanny Spider-Man, I recommend it.
It's the Madame Webb of comics. It's fun. We also have Mike's number 4, which is Batman
Yeah.
Off-World, a fun book with Batman in space. Love the beginning of the issue on how aliens are chasing Batman around, thinking he's a creature. Lots of mystery, great artwork.
Yeah. All right. So
now it's Daredevil.
Daredevil Black Armor. Yeah. It was okay. The art again was really good, but the story, I mean, it's one of those throwback series. It takes place during a time that I don't completely remember because I don't think I was reading Daredevil at the time when he was donning the armor. So I don't know what was going on. I know in this issue he fights Sabretooth very briefly. I think next issue he's fighting Sabretooth and somebody else. I don't even remember who. It's one of those times where Matt Murdock / Daredevil died, so they think it's a completely different character and he's under an alias. So it's one of those stories that we see all the time with Matt. But
we
it was
definitely
okay.
do.
I probably won't pick up issue 2, but if you're into those throwback series and you like the period of time when he was doing the armor, go check this one out. All right, Kill Your Darling. So I didn't read it, obviously, so
I'll try not to spoil it.
Yeah,
I won't spoil the ending, but especially because I feel like a lot of people might have not gotten this issue, but it's them going to the world, and that's a big part of it's really the whole issue where you get to see how things might have changed, how they are perceived, and there's a good cliffhanger. There's always a good cliffhanger, and we get to see just more of the relationships that have been building. And I liked it. It's always a really solid book. I don't think this is as strong as issue 1 and 2, but I still love this book. And that's saying something. It's not as strong as issue 1 and 2, because 1 and 2 is literally perfect. This is near perfect, but not as good as those other two.
Gotcha. I'll still enjoy it though. I can't wait to read it.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us to our number 3, right?
Yeah.
So
I think so.
What's your number 3 this week, Kat?
Mine is She-Hulk. So the book you did
another
not
book
read.
I didn't get to read. Yeah.
I know. I was curious to see what Mike thought about this one, because I actually think it went back on track. We get to see, at least for me, I think it's something a little different. It's the relationship between She-Hulk and Hulk. It's just an argument between the two of them. It's, how She-Hulk feels about him. And we also get to see that other Hulk again from the previous run. So they interact, and I had a good time with this one. It's for me, Rainbow at her best.
Cool. I can't wait to read it. Just didn't quite get to it.
Understandable.
Excuse me. So my number 3 is Jay Garrick, The Flash,
Great
number
book.
2. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I love the Stargirl series, so bringing some of these characters and sprinkling back in, but that's not even the thing here. It's like her trying to acclimate, and Stargirl does make a guest appearance in this issue as they go to the mall and all that stuff. And what is her name? Judy?
I think
Judy
so.
Garrett?
No.
Yeah. She gets acclimated with malls because she's never seen a mall before. So it was just fun, right? But at the same time, all these memories are flooding back for Jay, and all these villains are coming out of the woodwork, and now they're trying to catch her. It's just, I don't know. It's fast paced, which is good for a Flash book, I suppose. He's being overprotective because, it's his daughter and he's old. It's just the way it is, right? But it's just a fun book, man. I just enjoyed this one more than I thought I would too. So
same. It's like kind of like a under the radar hidden gem. I agree. It's just like, it's old school comics. It's, does it reinvent the wheel? Hell no. But got the villain creeping in the background. You got a good solid relationship between Jay and Judy. Also, if you liked the previous Flash run, which I know a lot of people did, especially now that this Flash run's so different, same writer. It's in a very similar vibe. It's very similar writing, and it's a really, really solid book. So I recommend it. Oh, June or Judy, I forget as well. Yeah, I think it's Judy. I feel like that sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right to me too. So
who knows?
I don't remember what his wife's name is. Maybe her name's June. Maybe
her name
both.
could be June. I feel like her name starts with a J as well. I don't remember her name. I know she's like a famous Flash character, but I'm also not a hardcore Flash fan. So, it is Judy. So I found that out. I don't know what the the wife is, though. Oh, Joan. Got it on one
Joan.
page.
So there you go. Jay, Joan, and Judy. You know, because that's what they did back in the day.
They really did.
Yeah, they really did. It is, you know, it's catchy. Oh, cool. All right. So next we're gonna talk about Batman, Superman, World's Fine. Oh no, we gotta give Mike's. I keep forgetting about Mike.
Number
Mike's
three for him was Kill Your Darlings, issue 3.
There you
Not
go.
as solid as previous issues, however, still really good. How the old town no longer exists. I'll skip a little bit part of this because I don't want to spoil it. Love the ending of the issue and what's happening to their world. So, other than that, spoilers ahead.
Yeah. All right. So World's Finest. We're gonna talk about that. So
I finally dropped it. I'm so proud of myself. There's way too many books this week, so I was like, you know what? This is the time.
This was a better issue, but it still wasn't.
Of course it is.
It's still the Kingdom Come stuff, but I still thought it was better because David has found friends in this world, Superman and Batman, and they're defending him against our Batman and Superman, and they think they're imposters, white Martians or whatever. They don't care. They're going to protect them. But it turns out like all the heroes of this world are worshiping Gog, which is how, you know, David eventually becomes Mangog, or Magog. I guess it's Magog. Yeah. So they're all worshiping Gog, and that's the cliffhanger. They're left off with like, oh, now Superman and Batman are against the entire, whatever they're calling their version of the Justice League. So nice cliffhanger there. But I thought the storytelling was a little bit better in this issue. You know, David kind of manipulating everything around him was well done here. And Clark, like our Superman, he got really mad and out of character for him because he's mad at this world Superman because the Kents are dead and people aren't being protected, and David is just, you know, being let do whatever, and so he's like mad at this version of himself, you know, so kind of putting a dark mirror in front of himself, and he's not loving it. So it was decent. Sad to see you dropped it, but I completely understand why.
Yeah, once you're up to issue 20 and you're just like, man, this hasn't really picked up in a while. If there's another arc that's exciting, I'll pick it up again. But it's been a while since I've loved this series.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, same. All right, so Incredible Hulk number 5. I did not read it, so what did you think of it?
I continue to really like this book. I think it just missed my top 5 this time around, but it's a little bit of a filler issue, but I still had a good time with it. It's Ghost Rider versus Hulk, and that's pretty much the story, but it's so haunting. I think that's obviously a good versus match. The art's really good. Nick Klein's back on it. Good relationship between Charlie, I think her name is, and Hulk. Solid issue. I continue to really love this book. If you're a Hulk fan, you like horror, I think you'll enjoy
it. Excuse me. All right, so we're getting into our number 2s. Mine was Superman, so we already talked about it.
Nice, and mine was Jay Garrick, so we already talked about it as well. I'm actually surprised that Mike didn't pick this one up. I feel like he at least think Jay Garrick's solid.
Yeah, me too, because he liked the previous Flash run. So
yeah, it's a good book. I guess maybe if you didn't read Stargirl, I think you probably would get it a little bit more if you.
Yeah,
but she was referenced in JSA too, which I think Mike is still reading. Not that book comes out very often, but
yeah, it actually did come out this week. I didn't get to read it either, so but she is in it.
It was fine. It was a fine issue.
Yeah.
Not in my top 5.
Right,
so. Mike.
Yeah.
Mike was Void Rivals issue 6. Really enjoy how the story is becoming its own thing. Not sure on the Transformers angle yet, but I think we're starting to get there. What lies ahead in the wasteland for our 2 main characters, we shall soon find out. Is it over? Is it still going?
Yeah, it's just over for now. They're taking a break until March.
Got you.
Yeah, I forgot about the wasteland thing. They went to like some area of the planet that nobody survives. So let's see what happens. All right. So Nightwing. The pirate adventure continues.
It's interesting because I feel like it's not, at least it has a direction, right? Like I like that it's something different. It's pulling a thread from a previous story. I like that she gets stabbed in the end. There's some interesting, interesting backstabbing. There's more sibling stuff happening here where I'm like, maybe finish the story with Nightwing and his sibling before you get into more sibling drama, but whatever. Didn't make my top 5, but I actually do think this is a better arc than previous arcs.
I actually enjoyed this issue as well. It's also not in my top 5, but like you said, there is direction here. There's like this subplot that was introduced last issue, why he froze and couldn't leap into action, which is not a Nightwing thing. So that's, interesting. Her getting stabbed, and thrown into the ocean is okay. And him and revealing that, he still cares about her, even though he's with, Batgirl and all that stuff, and you're bringing up all that. So there was a lot to appreciate in this issue, aside from his, goofy costume. But
besides that, we do have a comment from Comic Toby. Do you guys slab CGC? No, I have slabs. Like, I've bought them from, conventions and stuff, but I've never slabbed a book myself. Something I've owned and gone through CGC, which I hear takes months anyways. So I feel like I feel like it's a whole thing. It's a whole different culture.
Yeah.
Which we know. I'm sure a lot of our viewers do a lot of slabbing. Just a different side of comics that I'm not as involved in.
Yeah, I know Mike has a bunch of slabs. I don't know that he's ever sent one off, though. I don't remember. I have not. I don't even own a slab. It's just, it's a side of the market that I never got interested in, because I like to read my comics, and I like to go back and reread my comics. Yeah, so it's that kind of thing for me. It would have to be a very special book that I had the money, the expendable money to get it for me to purchase the slab, I think. So. All right. So Avengers Inc. number 3. I wanted to love this book so much.
Me too.
I thought this was at least interesting because you brought in Jane Foster, which is a popular character, and I'm always excited to see her, but even that didn't like totally bring me into this, and now I'm just like, okay, this character is recognized by this other character, and that's going to lead to another, and it just feels like very procedural at this point, and I
guess is the point, but literally echoing same exact thoughts as this is not for me. But I think the point is that it's like a procedural drama, but I don't know if it works here.
This is not what I wanted Janet Van Dyne to do, because I love that character and I want her to get the spotlight, but this was not it for me.
And again, you have Jane, and if you think that would sell the story a little bit more, and it really doesn't, it's kind of a boring issue. I'm definitely gonna drop it as well. Yeah,
unfortunately.
But you should slab all your own creations. It's expensive, man. Maybe if I was gonna sell it, but
I would consider that at some point, like offering that on the Kickstarter. Like, hey, a slab version, or or a backer kit later.
They don't move as much on Kickstarter. People don't care about it as often.
Yeah, it's a different market there.
No,
but who knows?
A lot of people like reading their books on Kickstarter. That's the thing. It's less of a collector's market.
Although I think we've talked about it on here before. There is an aftermarket on eBay for Kickstarter books, which is interesting. I found some of our books on eBay, which was really weird to me.
I found every single one of my books on eBay.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me.
It is. It's like
more tired than I sold it.
Just flip them on eBay. Yeah. I'm like, cool. That's, more people getting our books. Fine. I'm happy with that. But it's just odd to me. I would never think to do that. Yeah.
No, me either. Yeah. It's interesting. I know someone who used to shop at my comic book store, and she moved to Florida, and we're still like Facebook friends. And she messaged me one day. She's like, "Look what I found in like the back issues," and I was like Folly Daughter. I was like, "That's weird. That's cool."
Yeah. It is. It's
in Florida, of all places.
So, yeah, right. It's so funny. All right, so that brings us to our number ones. So. We'll start with you, Kat. Or do we want to start with Mike? We'll start with Mike.
Yeah, let's go with Mike, which I think this would have been an interesting week for him to be on, because I think he disagreed. Well, we disagreed with a lot of his picks this week. But his number one was Carnage, and this issue surprised me. We have the rebirth of Cletus. Not surprised there. He's like a horror movie character. When it comes to horror comics, you have to check this one out also reminded me of the movie Seven. Flash Thompson's also back as Anti-Venom, which will make for a fun read going forward. Oh, that's cool that Flash was there.
Yeah, it's there's a biblical bent to Carnage too. Like he boils a celebrity alive in public and that kind of thing in a box, like a magician's trick kind of thing. But they think it's just a publicity stunt. He's like this tech billionaire, and he boils them alive. So it's definitely got some horror elements in it. So
we actually have some answers to the eBay
yeah.
questions. Black Knight says, I had sold some of my Last Emperor books on eBay when I cleaned out my collection last year. That happens.
There you go. You're the one.
You're the
cool,
one.
Yeah.
Look, more people get to read the book. That's what's important.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's cool. It was just surreal, I guess, to see books that we created up on eBay. It's just weird.
Because you don't think about it when you're creating it. I always have this conversation with Phil, my business partner, where we're always like, when we send these books out, when we do the fulfillment, especially like even bigger campaigns where you're selling out, you're giving thousands of books, you really forget you're giving them to people.
Yeah, you do. It's just, it's so weird. It's just like, it becomes part of the business chain. It's just like, okay, it almost, not robotic, but definitely, I don't know. It's like second nature. It's like, okay, now we got to package them up, send them out. You don't think about where they're going or who's like reading them at that point, So, and then later it's like, oh, you read my book and you enjoyed it. Wow. That's cool.
I think the
I'm geeking out a little bit, but
no, it's true. And the two experiences I have where I like kind of now have gone to a point where, I guess people are reading this thing. Webtoon, because you do have the comment section. And also when we go to Comic Cons, even like the smallest Comic Cons, people recognize us for Slice of Life. They're like, oh, I've read that Slice of Life. I know this. Like every event we go to, someone knows Slice of Life. But then the newsletter, when we were on this platform called Zespro for a long time, and they counted the data somewhat incorrectly. And not everyone commented. And because it's a website that's not as known, it's just like, we always we did the newsletter and we kind of forgot people were reading it. We're just like, we're just talking to the void. And now we post on Substack and people comment and it's like, we see this open rate and the analytics are a little bit stronger. So you get to see who's actually opening things. And you're like, oh yeah, we're not talking to the void. This is how many people are opening this thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So because again, you do something, you just like feel like you're talking to the void sometimes.
It's so strange. Like I fought the Substack thing, not really fought it, but I just kind of avoided it a while because I was happy with and then like cost get involved. And like, for those that don't know, like when you do a newsletter, you got to pay for a service. And like I was using MailChimp for a while and it became so expensive that I was paying so much money. And it was just, it became unfeasible. And so I went to another one. Then it raised its rates. And I'm like, oh man. So I'm going to try Substack. And I've been on Substack for 3 weeks. Yeah. And I've been on there for 3 weeks. And my open rates and my click rates are like so much higher than I ever got on any other, service. And I'm getting likes and I haven't gotten a lot of comments yet, but I know they're coming. And it's just like, man, this is just, now I'm really seeing that people are actually reading this stuff.
You remember it then.
Yeah. And I mean, I did get occasional comments or emails, about a certain topic or whatever here and there, but it wasn't often. So you do kind of forget that and think you're talking to the void. But
and it's funneling from the platform too, which is really, really cool. And again, if you make comics or you just are interested in following your Scott Snyder's or us on Substack, which we'll give our links to Substack in a second. It's cool that Substack itself is a social media platform. So like other people are like, oh, I'm learning about you. And that's something I really noticed. And I've honestly been a fan of it. And it's only been a few weeks that we've been doing this as well. But the newsletter, it's become a big part of our business. So surprisingly enough, like who knew a newsletter would be so important, but there's so many comic people to wrap it around to the direct market. Like that has become a big part of their business. I read James Tynion's newsletter. He was talking about like why he doesn't use social media anymore and why the newsletter has become his new social media, or the newsletter has become his new comic book journalism site too, because it was an interview in his newsletter. Something you would have read on CBR or Newsarama 5 years ago was in his newsletter, because comic journalism has changed a lot. And I don't know if I agreed with everything he said about social media, and he talked a little bit about Kickstarter too, but it was an interesting read and just shows how important these newsletters are, not just from a fact of like you can do paid subscriptions of Substack. I haven't even explored that yet. That's something that we're going to explore, I'm sure, in the future. But not even that, just the aspect of connecting to your audience.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's so interesting. Like I've known newsletters and emails in particular, like this coveted thing. It's like this it's something we learned in Comics Launch that we hadn't even done before that. So when we got into Comics Launch, that's where I started. And so I've been doing a newsletter for years, but it's Substack is just different because, like you said, there's a community feeding it all. And people can discover you through there. So that's something you don't get with other services, and it's kind of cool. So I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
But
back to our number ones.
yeah, let's do that.
Mine is Kill Your Darling. So we already talked about it.
Okay, mine's Wonder Woman actually. So we'd already talked about it, and that's it. That's our top 5.
We did Mike's first. That's interesting. I guess we didn't do it. I'm like, wait, we already did Mike's.
Yeah, so let's get into our most anticipated then. And your list and my list are almost identical. I just changed the last one. But Mike has 2 of the same books as well. So I will say Mike's real quick. His number 3 is Spider-Woman, which we'll talk about. His number 2 is Amazing Spider-Man, Gang War First Strike, which we'll also talk about. And then Something is Killing the Children, number 35 is his number 1. And if I was up to date, that'd probably be what mine as well. So but I'm not. So let's get into ours. I put Titans of Beast World on here just because I want to see if this is going to just make me drop all Titans. That's basically what, because I'm not enjoying Titans. And if this book isn't like, oh, I got to read this event, then I might just straight up drop Titans, unfortunately.
I'm torn on it right now.
Yeah, so I'm anticipating it. I want to know what's going to happen in this book. Is it going to make me a fan of this story, or is it going to make me drop this entire book? We'll see. But let's talk about your number 3, which is Firepower.
I only picked it because it's the penultimate issue, so I want to see where it goes. And honestly, we've been kind of building up to this moment. And the last issue, they did a lot. They killed off the grandparents. Are like, all right, what can this issue bring? I hope it's not just an action issue. I hope it progresses the plot. So we'll see.
Same. Yeah, I really hope it finishes strong. It seems like an abrupt ending, but at the same time, it's like, man, this story has dragged on for a long time. So
it has.
Yeah. All right, so our number 2 and 1 are the same. Amazing Spider-Man Gang War First Strike. Issue 1, we talked about that a little bit earlier in the show. Just kind of anticipating it because we want to know if we're going to like this event or not, right?
I want to know if there's a twist. I want to know, you know, what progresses this story. So yeah, same echo.
I'm curious, are you getting any of the side stuff like Luke Cage or whatever?
Yeah, I'm gonna get Luke Cage because I think that'll be interesting. What other side stuff are there? I forget.
I don't know either. I can't remember. I just know that one's coming out.
Let's look if there's a checklist. King War, Spider-Man checklist. Yeah, I'm gonna get Luke Cage. I think that will be.
Yeah.
I like Luke Cage as a character, so.
Yeah, and Danny Rand's gonna be in it too. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Miles Morales, I won't get because I'm not reading Miles Morales. Spider-Woman's actually
connected,
that one. So. You guys are reading Miles Morales. Daredevil, I won't get. I'm not reading Daredevil, so.
Yeah, I might.
We got Shang-Chi as well. Probably not going to get that.
Probably skip.
So yeah, I guess I'm only getting Luke Cage. Oh, Jackpot is part of it too, so obviously getting that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get Jackpot and Miles. All the Spider characters, I guess.
Yeah. You're not going to get. Are you going to get? Okay, so you're getting Luke Cage. You're just not getting Shang-Chi, and you're not getting Daredevil.
Right. Yeah. Because I haven't loved Daredevil, so yeah. But it does. I mean, it's Gang War, and it does fit there. I don't know. We'll see with the week. You know me, I'm a sucker.
Oh, yeah. I know, right? You're probably just gonna get all of them. Maybe not Shang-Chi.
Yeah, probably.
Comic Toby says, "Oh, it threw me for a loop that it was renumbered." It's not. It's just a one shot.
No.
So they're just.
Yeah.
It's
just like a prelude issue, kind of. So
usually these prelude issues don't even do anything. So we'll see, but hopefully they do.
Yeah.
Tevi says, "Why Jackpot? Oh, why she doesn't need to be in this event?" Yeah, she does. She's a hero
mean,
now. Why not? Why Shang-Chi?
yeah.
How's he? What does he have to do with any
Yeah,
of this?
that's the one. It's like, I understand Daredevil and Luke Cage, right? But Shang-Chi, that makes no sense. But yeah, I guess maybe the gangs after the 10 Rings are involved in this, possibly. Shoehorn him in. Why not? Because he's popular. Is he though? Anyway, Spider-Woman #1. I'm really
More.
excited about this book. Yeah, gang war. It fits too, but I'm excited because I love Jessica Drew. I love Corolla Borelli. I
wonder
love
why.
Spider-Woman. So yeah, I wonder why. There's not a campaign that's about to end in like 4 minutes that has her art on it that I might be running. Anyway, I love Spider-Woman.
so weird.
Anytime there's yeah. Jessica Drew is just an amazing character, and I love that book. So go buy it.
No,
Go support it.
I feel like what's so interesting about Jessica Drew, and I hope this stays the same for this series, but in the past almost over 5 years, she's not missed a beat. All her series has been really good. So I hope this continues the trend, because we had the Dennis Hopeless book that ran for a really long time, really consistent book. Loved that book. And then we had Carla, who did a really great job with Spider-Woman too. So I'm really excited for this to see if it again continues to trend. We all really like Jessica. And the reason I like Jessica so much is because she's not really related to Spider-Man. She's her own hero. She's doing her own thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so such a fantastic character that I'm so glad that Brian Michael Bendis brought back from obscurity, way back into Avengers. And you don't have to wait till tomorrow to support Corolla Borelli's art, though. You can go do it within the next 2 minutes and join over 700 other people and support her on BlueCittyComic.com. Yeah, buy that and then go buy Spider. Yeah, exactly. And then go buy Spider-Woman tomorrow.
I like the way you think.
Okay. Right. All right, so that's gonna wrap up our most anticipated. Yeah, this has been a fun show. I've enjoyed it. I miss Mike. I wish Mike was here, but we got his thoughts. We got his most anticipated. We got his top 5. Just didn't get his news thoughts, and I'm just like a little delirious because I'm sick too, and I'm a little out there tonight, and it's okay.
In a good way, it made it a good show.
Yeah, it did. Right. I'm just a little. I can feel myself being a little off character. This is actually more like me in social situations. I don't know, with my family and close friends. So, which I'm here with my close friend Kat now. So
exactly. But usually it's off camera that we get this side of
right.
On camera.
Exactly. You're getting a rare experience. You're getting unfiltered Brant here. So enjoy it.
Enjoy it because next week
about to end.
it's not going to be.
I'll be subdued Brant again. Yeah. It's so weird that most of the time people are exaggerated when they're live and stuff, and I'm like more subdued. So this is more me. So
I'll have to say I'm pretty neutral on. I think I think on camera I'm a pretty neutral voice usually.
Yeah. So,
I wish Mike was here too. He will be back. Yeah. Don't worry, he'll be back. And I'm glad we did a show. I'm sorry we couldn't make it for Thanksgiving, but things got things get hectic around that time. And but yeah, this was a good show. And again, I'm glad there was a lot of comics to talk about. That's always nice. And next week seems like there'll be a lot of topics to talk about. Hopefully, that even the Wonder Woman topic this week, we're like, what do we talk about? And I think we picked a good one, so I was happy about that.
We should just stay live for 36 more seconds because then my Kickstarter ends and I can tell you how I had to win.
I'm actually would love to do that. I did see a comment from Tevia before, so we can mention that. He said, so are we going backwards? I think that's what he was talking about with the Substack. And I think, no, quite the opposite. I think we're actually going forward with Substack. I am, I'm happy that creators have their own voice, and now James Tynion has his own free comic book, so shows that the creator has more power.
I mean, if you're talking about like where creators were the names back in the 90s and that kind of thing, I guess in a way it's backwards, but and the campaign is over, by the way. I just saw the fireworks out of the corner of my eye.
Well, tell it. Let's see the end result.
Yeah, let me share that. Present. Share screen. There we go. All right. So we ended at 24,735 with
Hell yeah.
738 backers. So there you go. Thank you all so much. If anyone here back, thank you so much, and appreciate that. My wife writes this book, and it's beautiful. It's a great story, and she's got a lot more to tell. So appreciate all the support.
And if you didn't support, I'm sure there'll be a pre-order store. So go.
Yeah,
There's time.
Yeah.
There's time. Go check out that pre-order store. We got some comments
keep
about.
Your eye on.
Yeah,
I was going to say keep your eye on bloomprettycomic.com. So.
Yeah, go check it out. We had some comments about Chris and Mike, our old co-hosts. They should come back for reviews and comic reviews. Look, Mike, I don't think reads comics anymore. So, and I don't think Chris is caught up on his books anymore. But they were great hosts back in the day. So
yeah, they're doing their own things, and we're happy for them. I've actually talked to Chris recently.
Nice.
I've talked to recently. Mike and I exchanged happy Thanksgivings over the holiday, and Chris, I kind of reconnected through Fortnite. So
very cool.
Yeah, so they're doing their thing, and they're happy doing their thing, and we're happy keeping the show alive. So
we're happy for them. So yeah. So that's where they're at. So that's an update on Chris and Mike. But thank you guys for watching the show. We appreciate it. You want to use AI art and ChatGPT? You know what? We're gonna leave it at that. No is the answer.
ChatGPT is good for like getting Yeah, that's different. It's good for getting keywords for like products and that kind of thing. It's good for helping you fill out some text as long as it's not plagiarizing stuff. But yeah, we'll leave the other part of that alone and move on. So thank you for watching the show. If you'd like to, please give us a thumbs up because it really does help the show. And of course, follow us across social media at Comic Frontline, and you can follow our individual channels, Comic Uno, Only Good Comics, and Comic Book Corner 2.0. And of course, cbwpodcast.com will take you right here to watch the show each and every week. And don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss any of our shows on any of our platforms. And yeah, so thanks for watching. And hopefully we'll all three see you next week.